when we were students, activists then. We were just outside the gate doing demonstrations. But that was long ago. Anyway, there's a saying in Filipino, madaling maging tao, mahirap magpakatao. And so it goes the same with being a Christian. Madaling maging Kristiyano, mahirap magpaka-Kristiyano. So being a Christian is being a disciple of Christ. And there are requirements for being a disciple of Christ. In the Gospel, we heard three points on discipleship. When the first disciple said, I will follow you wherever you go. And then Jesus said, foxes have dens and birds of the air of the sky have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to rest his head. So the point is, discipleship is not a bed of roses, or it's the road for disciples is not always paved. There are bumps, there are lots of challenges, but the point is, there are lots of sacrifices along the way. In my experience as a missionary in PNG, I am assigned in the highlands, the Western Highlands province of PNG, and sometimes we eat tribal fights for breakfast, and then rascals for lunch, and then at dinner, everything. So we see Papua New Guinea as the land of surprises, especially for us missionaries, because we have nothing. And my bishop told us that if somebody would ask for your car, you give everything to him, because your life is more important than those things. Kasi mas malaki ang babayaran ng obispo sa amin. Anyway, being Christians, that's the first point. Christianity is a journey, and the journey is not always fair at times, and it's not always good. That's why we have to do lots of sacrifices if we really want to become good Christians. And then the second point is, one of the disciples said, Lord, let me go first and bury my father. And then the reply of the Lord is, let the dead bury their dead. You might say that this is something adversarial to the disciple, this statement of Jesus, but it's not. We have to take note of the fact that the public life and ministry of Jesus was only 3 years. 3 years. And so why did he say this? That let the dead bury their dead. Because the burial process for the Jews during that time is almost a year. So in the burial chamber for the Jews, there are 2 rooms, the outer room and the inner room. So the first stage, when they bury the dead, they bury it first on the outer room. And then they would wait for 11 months more, so that that body, or that the skeleton, would be transferred to the inner room. And that ends the process.
Excuse me.
So when that disciple would wait for the burial process to end, that's practically 1 year. And Jesus only had 3 years in his public life and ministry. So the point is, in Christian life, there always a sense of urgency. It's not tomorrow, it's not next week, it's not next month. Our practice of our faith should not be delayed. It should be in the here and the now. And in whatever situations we are in, our faith has to work in us. It's walking the talk. So the third point, as a requirement for discipleship, is when the disciples said, when one of the disciples said, I will follow you, Lord, but first let me say farewell to my family at home. We should take note also of the fact that the home or the family is so important for the Jewish people. In the hierarchy of values of the Jewish people, the topmost priority in the hierarchy of values is honor. And they get honor from the family, especially women. Because women are second-class citizens in those days, in that particular historical or cultural milieu. Women cannot inherit properties. Women cannot testify in court. Women are mere properties of men. That's why when they become widow, they are considered nothing unless they have a male son, a son. So that would take care of her. So otherwise, it should be the family. So the family is so important. That's why Jesus would always put emphasis on the family. That's why when the disciple answered this, he said, "No one who sets a hand to the plow and looks to what was left behind is fit for the kingdom of God." So, as Christians, our priority in life should be Christian life, should be the principles of Christianity. Those things that would come along the way, like personal interests, like challenges where we have to choose whether to do this thing or to do other things contrary to Christian principles. That would be a very challenging situation when we come to that crossroad. But the point is, we always have to choose. And in choosing, we always have to choose the teachings of the Lord. Like, I think most of you are being sent also to other countries, especially developing countries. And most of you have encountered many difficulties, many challenges, and then you also have to come to the point where you are in a situation where you have to decide. And in deciding so, you have to weigh situations. But then it's a matter of is it for your own good or for the good of the people that you are serving. So the choice is yours. But the measure of life, of being Christians, being disciples, is in the matter and in the manner where we follow Christ, and in following Christ, we have to follow Him in every step of the way according to His principles. We all stand.